Oi pessoal, eu sou Marcelo Copello de Londres, com Julia Trustram, que é a diretora de marketing do English Wine Producers. Julia, thank you very much for this interview.
It's a great pleasure.
It's a pleasure to meet you and to meet the English wines. Is it a new or old tradition to make wine in England?
Well, firstly, welcome to England.
Thank you.
And welcome to English wine. Really, the tradition for England, it's quite new compared to many other countries. But having said that, the first commercial vineyard was planted over 50 years ago. 50. But we can actually move forward several decades, and the real growth started with the production of English sparkling wine, which started in the early 1990s. So we're coming with 25 years or so.
How important is the global warming, global climate change for the English wines?
It plays a part, there's no doubt about it. A good story about global warming for once. 40 years ago or so, the producers down in the south of England, where really an awful lot of our wine is grown, 40 years ago, I don't think they would have really grown Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier in the same way that they do now. So, and those producers that still exist from back then, were saying that they're harvesting at least 2 weeks earlier now than they did before. So we're still in the process of accumulating records to verify that, but we know from hearsay that global warming is having a part.
Giving a hand.
It's having a hand, exactly.
In terms of style, you said Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier.
Yeah.
Is champagne wise always, or it's optional?
It's optional for the grape varieties. At the moment, all English sparkling wine is produced using the méthode champenoise, the traditional method. The majority of our sparkling wines are produced from those champagne varieties, but there are quite a few others now that use other varieties as well. Just to go back a little bit, when the English wine industry first started, it was very natural that our producers turned to Germany because we're very much on the same level. So originally, an awful lot of the grape varieties were of Germanic extraction, Germanic grape varieties. And to some extent, there's still a bit of that produced now. But in the 1990s, late 1980s, early 1990s, that's when a few people started planting Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier. So now, about 50%, over 50% of all our plantings are these three traditional varieties. So you can see the trend.
So I believe that the benchmark is champagne.
The benchmark is champagne for quality, for I think the premium quality, the presentation. There's definitely an inspiration.
I tasted one of English sparkling yesterday for lunch, and it was very much champagne in style. Yeasty, serious, dry, focus on Pinot Noir, for example.
Yeah.
And you said that you were exporting a lot.
We're starting to export. The main market, of course, is still the UK. We're still a very small industry. I mean, our total average production is around 5 million bottles. Now, 2/3 of that is sparkling wine, and I think that's going to grow to about 3/4, and the rest of it is still wine. But really, the main market is still the UK. However, yes, a lot of these sparkling wine producers are, of course, looking to export, and about 27 countries are being exported to now.
Not Brazil yet.
Not yet, but one day it won't be long. I'm sure it won't be
very
long.
interesting to taste this in Brazil. And you said also still red or white? Which varieties?
Mainly white, and of course we're still a very northern climate. We're in northern Europe, and we're still a cool climate. So the natural grape varieties are going to be predominantly white. We have one grape variety which I think is really exciting for still wines, and anybody who comes to England and visits a vineyard or goes to a number of shops now that sell them, look out for a wonderful grape variety called Bacchus. A good name, Bacchus. Bacchus is grown in Germany as well, but I think it's found its home in England. Bacchus is related to Riesling and Silvaner, so it's a really noble heritage.
Yes.
And in England, it produces a wonderful sort of light, crisp, very aromatic wine. Yes, around about I would say 11.5% to 12%, maybe 11.5%.
Light, fresh. You see,
exactly.
Bacchus. When you search for a white English wine, Bacchus.
Look for Bacchus.
And does it help tourism, wine?
Now, this is something really exciting, I think, this year and beyond. Tourism wine tourism is going to grow a lot. And actually, if I may, I will give you a map.
Explain.
Which you can open up, and you will see that we now have vineyards that spread across the south of England, all the way up to the north of England now, actually, and also to Wales.
Wait. I'll be there.
There we go. It's a big map, you can see. You'll be pleased to know that later in the spring we're going to be interactive, so there will be so all the vineyards are sort of down. A lot of them are down in the southeast of England, but we have a number of producers now that are really focusing on wine tourism. So you can go and visit the vineyards. You can see the wine being made. Some have hotels, some have restaurants, cafes, shops, and in line with what England or Britain is encouraging more tourism to come out of the cities, wonderful London of course, but to visit the countryside. And we have such a growing food and drink industry now. It's a great opportunity to come and visit some vineyards.
I have a present for you too, a surprise.
Oh.
Our Wines of Brazil yearbook.
Oh, well,
it's Portuguese and English. I hope you
Can I just say, I am so pleased to get this because I've drawn such inspiration from this book. You won't know this, but last year I was very keen that we produced a yearbook about the English wine industry with lovely pictures and, oh yes, look, there we go, maps and things, to really introduce the English wine industry to people who want to learn more. So this is going to be my inspiration, so thank you.
Fantastic, I'm very happy. And there's also a wine competition inside it, the results of a wine competition of only Brazilian wines.
Well, here's another thing to share with you, because actually this year we're launching our new wine competition for just English and Welsh wines.
Fantastic
news. We've run one within the industry for many years, but we want to now make this very outward looking so that everybody outside the industry can see just what we're doing.
And the name?
It's called the UK Wine Awards. So
UK Wine Awards.
And you will see this on the website very soon. So there you go.
And I have to give you, of course, one Brazilian sparkling.
We're going to taste
and compare the two brothers, and I hope it will be a very good tasting. Thank you very much, Julia.
My great pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.